When Kyrie announced he was opting in, I was like, okay, we can move on. This is not going to be a thing. But that's not what my phone was telling me. That's not what the executives were telling me. That's not what the agents were telling me. They were saying, this ain't over. Because the Nets made it clear to everybody that they did not want the status quo. If nothing else changed, that they were not going to be happy, and they weren't sure that this satisfied that situation. And it's not just because of the lack of the vaccine mandate. The entire way that Kyrie operated for the last couple of seasons, not just what happened with the vaccine, was part of what Sean Marks and really by proxy Joe Tsai was talking about.
Communication gaps and lack of communication.
So I would like to tell you, I would like to say this be put to bed, and I wouldn't have to worry about Kyrie. But that's not what my sources are saying. They're saying they don't know if this is still going to work. So you might say to yourself, well, why would this possibly happen? How could the Lakers still do this? And here's the nuance of it. I agree that if you just look at it on a raw piece of paper, you'll say you're crazy. What are you talking about? How could they possibly trade Russell Westbrook for Kyrie Irving? Well, here's what you have to understand. In that hypothetical trade, the Lakers would save approximately $30 million. That's right. They would potentially move from having Russell Westbrook to having Kyrie Irving and save $30 million. How the heck could they save $30 million? You must be out of your mind, Brian. What are you possibly talking about? Well, Kyrie Irving makes $11 million less than Russell Westbrook. So that's straight cash.
Straight cash.
And then you look at the fact that the Lakers are probably going to be in the luxury tax. Mm-hmm. And when you factor in the tax money savings, you could massively upgrade your talent by saving $30 million. Does that sound like a good deal?
Sounds like a great deal.
Okay, does it sound like a deal that you might be willing to throw in a draft pick or two?
A 2027 draft pick? Yeah, I'll throw that in.
And maybe we can
maybe
negotiate.
another one, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now from the Nets end, well, why would the Nets do it? Why would the Nets take Russell Westbrook back? Because he's an obvious downgrade and he's more expensive. Why would the Nets possibly do that? Well, this is where we have the unknown. Where is Kevin Durant on the current situation? I don't have an answer for you. Is Kevin Durant, is he okay with going forward with Kyrie Irving? Is he okay with, if the Nets were willing to try to move Kyrie Irving, how would that affect where Durant is? Because the Nets, in that scenario, they would pick up a $47 million player who could now be traded elsewhere, and they would have picks from the Lakers and picks that they would have from the 76ers that they now can go shopping with for another trade later on. Or they can say, we may actually operate better this year without Kyrie Irving here, and then next year have a bunch of salary cap space that they might be able to maneuver with. Where is Kevin Durant on that concept? I don't know. So I'm not sitting here saying that I think any of that's going to happen, but I got people who are very high-ranking officials in this league saying this is something that the Nets could still be looking at, and that's all I was pointing out.
So I just want to jump on this for 1 second. So, Wendy, my only thing is, I get that the business side of it makes sense. I understand that. And you bring up the point about where is Kevin Durant on this. You know, we did hear him on a podcast, his own podcast, et cetera, is talking essentially about, I'm staying out of that kind of stuff. But to me, his lack of saying something says everything you need to know about their relationship, because that has been consistent with how KD has treated Kyrie Irving throughout all this. I'm talking about through all the stuff with George Floyd, throughout all the stuff with the January 6th insurrection, throughout all the stuff with the pandemic. He has not said anything. He's been loyal. He's been loyal to him. So to me, like that, a lot of people always say, well, how is this the right move? And I'm like, Kyrie, to me, feels like he is the person saying, like, responding to Katie saying, I'm going to reward that loyalty by being with you for another year. I see the relationship being so close and tight. I don't know if I see KD coming out and saying, I'm willing to make the right business move for where I want this franchise to be, because I don't know if he's looking at this by saying, I plan on being with this franchise for the next 5 years.
Wait a minute. What did you just say that Kyrie was saying? That he's going to stake with his commitment? I mean, that's a public relations spin. A couple days ago, he was asking for a sign-and trade to find a way out of there.
But that's what I was trying to tell Jay.
But I feel like that's all leverage. I feel like that was a game play because he wanted a longer term.
And it didn't work.
It didn't work. I came on the show and said it didn't work.
So now he can say that I'm countering my commitment. I don't care. I mean, you may be right. I don't care about that statement. That statement carries no water with me. I mean, Kyrie's got to do what's best for his career.
I understand.
And the concept of getting traded elsewhere increased the chances he could get a new much bigger contract than the Nets were offering. That's what he was doing. The idea of keeping his commitment to Durant, because it's not a 4-year commitment for Durant. Durant extended his contract.
I understand. But,
So it's Durant's like this commitment goes much further than 4 years.
But that's what I'm saying. If you're the Nets, it depends upon how you weigh this though. Like, don't you see how this plays out? Like for a minute before you just make a move and
Okay, yeah. Hey, listen, I thought it was over, Jay, and I want it to be over. But I am just telling you what the people in the league are saying.
Brian Windhorst joining us here this morning on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Brian, so out of all the teams, obviously the Lakers and Kyrie, they got a little twinkle in the eye with each other. Outside of the Lakers, there's anybody else that may be pursuing or feel a certain way about Kyrie?
At $36 million to trade for, it's hard for me to see today. I think if Kyrie had opted out of his contract and was available for either the $6 million taxpayer mid-level or was available for the $10 million full mid-level, which some teams have, I think there's a lot of teams interested in Kyrie on a short deal, massively undervalued. So, like, when you hear about teams that were interested in Kyrie, if he opted out, I would say there'd be a handful. Teams are interested in trading what it would take to get him. I don't think the list is that long, but it's June 29th. I don't know where the lay of the land is going to be. In a month, in 6 months, we'll see. Here's what I do know: the last full season that Kyrie played, which was the pandemic shortened year, the in between the bubble and last season. He was a 50-40-90 player. He played, I think, 54 of the 68 or 70 games. Like he played more of a percentage of games. He was.
by the way, if you're Brooklyn, why the hell are you letting this guy go? This is a negotiation tactic for Kyrie to get exactly what he wants, and that is his money. He wants to get his money. There's a reason why yesterday, when all this stuff started to come out, Kyrie Irving tweeted a gif of Brother Muzane from The Wire, right? Where literally
Brother Muzan.
Muzan, yes.
Yeah.
Muzane.
Because the first time I heard, I said, moves on? What's he talking about? Oh, Muzan, yeah.
And he talks about reform. He's looking at dilapidated buildings.
Reform.
And he says, reform.
What's his name?
Reform.
He had a sidekick. What was his name?
I don't remember.
Yeah, reform,
what is it?
so-and-so, yeah.
Yates, who is it? You know Yates? Yates might be able to chime in, but
Because he put his name on the end.
all I'm saying to you at this moment is that Kyrie Irving is staying in Brooklyn. He's not going anywhere. And if you're the Brooklyn Nets, your back is against the wall. You have maybe the potential best player in the game in Kevin Durant, whose partner in crime is Kyrie. The demand on the market isn't the same because they're not sure what they're going to get. And these two together with Ben Simmons give you the best chance to win a championship.
You know what's crazy, too, when you think about the Nets? You know how, like, Clay came back from 900-something days off, and we're all, many of us are expecting next year to be better because usually that first year back, you're not 100% or as good as you're going to be. You need that under your belt, get your body together, and then the following year, guys, KD had a ruptured Achilles. Who is to say that physically he won't be better next season, more distance from the injury, NBA games under his belt? To me, when he's healthy, KD is still the best player in basketball. I would still rather have him than anybody else. And Kyrie, too. Kyrie is maybe the most skillful player in basketball. Those two together, for all the problems that there's been so far, you still look at them and you go, show me two guys better.
Yeah, the Brooklyn Nets are up against it, though. They're up against it because Kyrie wants his money. But if you're saying the availability is an issue for me to give you the full value of your money because I still have reservation as an organization on whether or not you're going to be there for us all the time, it makes a person look at other places. Now, Jay, you know Kyrie. I don't know him, but I can certainly ask you this question, though. The relationship between him and LeBron James seems to be better than it was several years ago. If we remember, Kyrie came out several months ago and talked about their relationship. It talked about how he was immature when he was in Cleveland with them. So to me, that tells me he's eyeing something. And I understand when you get into Bobby Marks and the cap and this and can they do this and how they going to trade in the contract mid-level.
He's a big believer, and you'll figure that out.
I get it.
Figure out the details.
They'll figure all that out.
Yeah.
Didn't Golden State figure out what to do with Wiggins and later on and figure out what to do with Clay? They'll figure it out.
Where there's a will.
There's a way, there's a will. can and will he be willing to sit down and have a conversation with Mr. James and his representatives and the Lakers if, in fact, he's eyeing that so LeBron could sell him on getting back together? Because one of the things
I look at is the Lakers. That's the only one.
Look at this, though.
Yeah.
You ain't won nothing without me. I ain't won nothing really without you. I love you. I was trying to teach you. I'm begging you to come play with me.
But I had to learn too. I had to learn
too.
Yeah.
Plus, LA is nice. Spring Hill, man. You know you want to be in the business of movies. I could get you there. We can get you there. Me coming to LA, man, my empire, I'm a billionaire now. I came to LA and it just took me to a whole nother level. I'm just selling you, Jay. All I'm doing is trying to sell you.
Know what I think, Jay? I think, just real quick,
Sure.
Shaq, when you hear Shaq and Penny talk, they both recognize, damn, we were just young and immature. We wish. When you hear Shaq and you heard Kobe talk, same thing. They should have accomplished more. LeBron and Kyrie is kind of like that, but who says they still can't accomplish more? It's not over yet.
I love the sales pitch, Key. 2 reasons why it would never happen.
He ain't buying it.
Here's number 1. The only person that would have been able to get Kyrie Irving to the Lakers would have been Kobe Bryant. You can mark that down. Kobe Bryant would have been able to get this done.
Who still says he can't?
What?
Well, look, Kyrie, you are, if to inherit the legacy of Kobe, LeBron is older. It's not going to be AD. Come and be the next Kobe in LA.
Absolutely.
Because Kyrie Irving has never been second fiddle to anybody. He would be second fiddle to LeBron James in LA. I'm just telling you. And by the way,
leaving eventually.
I hear you, and I think there was a lot of stuff for Kyrie Irving to learn, and I'm glad he opened up about what that relationship means. But let's also not forget that it was the way that Bron spoke about Kai as the kid, right? That Kai wanted to be his own man. So I don't see Kyrie being third fiddle to LeBron James or AD in LA. I don't see it
happening. But the pitch, if I'm LeBron, is Kai, your first fiddle, if not this year, next. I'm going to look at 40 pretty soon. You got this whole thing in front of you. So
and secondly, my second point.
Jay don't want this to happen.
He and me are really trying to make this happen.
If that's what he chooses to do, I'm telling you reasons why I don't think it would happen. Number 2, we've had debates for a long time. And what's your thing always been about KD? Like, why does he hear everything? He's always on the internet. He's always hearing stuff. Like, it gets Key angry about it, right? So one of the things that KD has been hearing for long, who is the best player in the game? Is that LeBron James? Is that KD? You put them against each other. Who would think about this? Their brotherhood. You're telling me Kyrie Irving will leave his brother, the dude that through all the stuff that's happened this year, KD has had his back
for sure. Yeah.
To the dude on the West Coast that people have been comparing about who's greater to of all time. Like, they're thicker than thieves. They're brothers, man. Like, they're in the trenches together.
Okay, here's
that
a
would be the biggest knife in the back to Kevin Durant than ever before if anybody's ever been around.
I don't think KD would do that to Kyrie. Do you think Kyrie reciprocates that kind of love to KD and loyalty to KD on the level KD has it?
Yes.
You do?
I do.
Then it wouldn't
I think when it all comes down to it, I think they are locked. They are intertwined together.
Okay. I mean, you know, Jay, because you know
if
them both.
you
dialed in with them like that. I'm just saying, sometimes
I hear you.
Distance makes things a whole lot better in the end. We separated. I went to Boston and I went to the Nets. It didn't work out. I thought we were going to do it.
But I came here because